All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin,
I'm Tarsha.
and this is Conversations with the Crawleys. On this channel, we have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and we do recaps, reviews, and commentaries on some of our favorite shows. This one is all about Lindy and Miguel from Married at First Sight, Season 15 in San Diego. So if this is content that you enjoy, listen, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications,
And share.
and we'll see you in the comments. And definitely listen. In fact, right now, do it right now.
Subscribe.
That, and then hit the like. Y'all got to help us help YouTube's algorithm figure out where to put us. So make sure you're doing that. Yes.
Come on, KT Squad. Where are you? Come on, fam.
All right. So Lindy and Miguel, when it opens up, Lindy's been over in the dishwasher or whatever, and Miguel is like, I see the light. I see the light. He sees what he likes. So, but he goes and he plays ping pong with his friend.
Mm-hmm.
And friend starts asking questions. He's like, marriage suit you?
Right.
Like, yeah. His heart's in it. He thinks it's good. And then he starts coming with the superlatives.
It's been amazing. I don't know how I lived without her. Where has she been?
She's the oasis in the desert.
Urban Dictionary.
Translation says,
he's thirsty. He is thirsty.
He's thirsty.
For some Linda. My goodness.
Because he says, even when something kind of rubs him the wrong way, which in marriage,
it will rub you
you'll
the wrong
have
way.
some things that rub you the wrong way, right?
It will rub the
But
wrong
he's like, it doesn't let it bother him. He sees that she's in it and that she has their best interest at heart. And I think that's a key thing we had to learn in some areas is that when we disagree, when there was arguments or whatever, we had to recognize that each other has the best interest of this relationship at heart.
True.
Okay. So, she also says that she met his checklist and then some. He's like, look, I had my list. She met it and then she overachieved. So, so then this week is that week of Married at First Sight where they all have a party with their friends
and family come over. They're checking in, and this is typically a good time for the spouse to talk to the other spouse's family and friends and see how they're vibing,
get some insight,
right? As they're moving along in this marriage.
So they decided to do. So it looks like everybody tried to do a theme, right? So they did a game show contestant party theme, kind of like, I guess it was like Let's Make a Deal. That's kind of what it gave.
I put it under that there. I was like, okay, I get it. Or Price is Right.
Yeah, no, they don't dress up that much on Price is Right.
Oh, okay.
I haven't watched Price is Right in a while, but I don't think they dressed up that much. They put on T-shirts and stuff.
Everybody's matching in the family,
right? Miguel came as a pimp. We'll leave that alone. All right, so then
he got some pimp ways. So what?
Listen, we ain't touching that one. So they played the newlywed game, and it was actually kind of interesting how Miguel and Lindy knew each other.
Yeah, I feel like it was great. And their family and friends can see, wow, they're really taking the time to really get to know each other and understand each other. Because some of them start questioning their own relationship. Like I don't think I know.
But my fiance, yeah.
So I thought that was good.
Yeah. And then one of his friends pulls, basically in the conversation with Lindy, we're like, do you think he's that funny?
Like, really?
Like, really? Or are you just doing that? Because I don't think he's that funny.
And she's like, yes, I just think he's just so funny. She's like, I'm glad you do.
That's your burden to bear.
That's your burden to bear. I'm so glad.
I ain't got to entertain his corniness anymore. But then she, she's talking about talking with his friends about taking his last name because that's kind of their one of their conversations. She's not fully there yet. She's like, there's a lot of other things that have to be checked off for her to feel comfortable in taking his last name. So then after the other thing that comes up is that I guess he kind of dangled his healthcare. First of all,
no, I don't think it was a dangle. her request to him. He made a request to her. I would love for you to have my last name.
Mm-hmm.
Her request to him was like, well, go ahead and put me on that health care because you want me around, don't you? So go ahead, because I don't have health
I'm pretty
care.
sure she put it. She said that he kind of dangled it like he was like, if you want me to put you on the health care, you're gonna change your last name. That's the way she put it.
I took it as they were both asking for something and not getting what they were requesting. Not sure.
Let us know. Y'all go back and watch it. We'll let us know what y'all recall and what y'all see.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I think the way she at least the way she presented it to his friends was like he was like, want some health care? You want a little health care? What's that last name?
It was coming across like she did presented it,
Mm-hmm.
and that he was taking that and using that, saying that, well, are you going to take my last name?
Okay.
Because you want me to pay for health insurance. And so, but I'm like this.
Why she ain't got no health care?
Okay.
That's my question.
I understand why she doesn't have any when she's independent contract.
Okay.
But the question is why she is not getting health care. Because you make all that money, correct? You take that money and go on vacation. Like you said, you want the flexibility. You got debt that you're not worried about. Why are you not paying for health insurance
we have
on your own?
Right, because we have a person who does like graphic design for us, and I know a while back he was independent contractor for a lot of things, and he went into the marketplace and found insurance that worked for him and his family of what, 4 kids.
Yes.
So he found some. So
he found insurance. So she could have insurance.
Yep.
But she chose to spend her money, as she says, on being able to relax and go to different countries and different stuff like this. Because my first question is like, what if you never were on first sight? What's going to happen?
That you so pressed about seeing.
Right. Like you haven't been seeing a physician? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
So I didn't like the way, because I know this is going to be talked about, right? We're going to talk about this.
Well, yeah, because after the party, they have this conversation more in depth.
Correct.
Right? After the party, they talk about it.
And he's saying, like, I feel it's important because I was assuming in my marriage that my wife was going to take my last name. Now,
the phrase that he says, you're asking me to live as a married couple, but you don't take my last name as a married couple.
So I get what he's saying. But the question is, what's so hard? She's not presenting any alternative, like, well, I can hyphenate it. Because she's putting so much identity between about her last name. Granted, yes, you did get your doctor's degree and everything in this last name.
Yep.
And I don't know your profession or how well known you are in this last name, but when does a last name become your identity? And maybe I could be off, because unless you're famous and have a famous name, I'm like, how does that really translate your identity of who you are?
And like you mentioned, if you are well known in your field by your maiden name or by a name, right? And then something happens, you can, like you said, hyphenate the name. So then that way, if let's say she is writing a lot of doctoral papers and she's got research out there and everything, absolutely, you want to be able to piece together the research paper that you did 10 years ago with research paper you do 5 years from now. I get that. So the hyphenated name is probably going to be the best way to suffice that meets both. But yeah, and it is, because this is something that comes up periodically on Married at First Sight.
It does.
Every now and then you have a couple that goes through, will you take the last name?
And I think it's just, I don't know if they brought it up and it's just being cut to show some conflict between each other, because I feel like they find ways to compromise. And so I'm like, has anyone mentioned this? Because I also feel like in the Hispanic community, when I'm looking at, they have several last names because they have their maiden name
or their father's last name
and their married name. So I don't see why that's not coming around for him when it comes to her.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, I didn't like how she was kind of feel like manipulating him to feel bad. So what you're saying is, if I go out right now and decide to jump in through a car, I won't have any health insurance. this is going to be your debt, or this is going to be my debt. And I'm thinking, what the heck you been doing prior to that? Like once a year, every other year, don't you get an annual woman's exam?
Mm-hmm.
Are you paying for that out of pocket? Like, it almost felt like, did you get married to get health insurance? Because I'm like, what were you doing before this? That you're making this his responsibility.
And it's his fault.
And his fault if you get hit. It's my fault. If we're up in a plane and we both survive, you're the one that's going to have the discount health insurance, and I got to pay full price. That's like what you're saying, because that's what it is. You get only a discount. I work in this field. Mm-hmm. You get a discount. You may still have a high deductible and pay something, mm-hmm. but she want club prices.
So, and she does make the statement that she does not feel secure. Right. She talks about wanting to feel, and part of it, just to play devil's advocate, right? Just to kind of, her thing as far as taking the last name. Just thinking she may be filtering it through the fact that Miguel has been like, I'm gonna give it 8 weeks and see where we're at.
It's possible.
So because she makes the statement, she's like, we don't have a joint checking account. Granted, we just met, so yes, we can still have our separate accounts, but we don't have a joint checking account. We don't have these, we don't know what's happening after the 8 weeks. Are we moving into your place, my place? Are we getting a new place? She's like, there's these milestones that for her, she's like, I want to reach to know and feel secure that this is going to move forward before I change my entire identity and change my name.
I agree with that. I mean, that's not even playing devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. What she's saying is that we're not talking about the future.
Right.
We're only focused on the now. Mm-hmm. And any woman says, what does our future look like when you're dating?
You want to feel secure.
What do you see what's going to happen after we get married?
Yep.
So I totally get that. But feel fair, same thing's going to happen with healthcare.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know there's going to be a future afterwards. I'm not giving you that 60-day COBRA where you can go ahead and get every treatment you needed to get done in 60 days on my health care. So with that being the case, I think they do need to talk more about the future, get everything together. And I'll let you know in 8 weeks if I put your name on my health care.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the name. They can find out alternatives. So once they make those final decisions, they can make forward.
Yeah. Because in that conversation, Miguel's like, I do not like this version of you.
Yeah, because she was like, I could die and it'll be all on you. Well, maybe since nothing's in my name and you have your maiden name, I won't have to take on that debt after your death.
So a little later, all of the ladies go and have their conversation. And so she's telling the story to the ladies. And Kristen is like,
I'm with you, girl.
She's like, she was Team Miguel.
That's what I'm saying. I'm Team Miguel.
Oh, you were saying you got Kristen. I
got Kristen.
Okay, yes. I thought you were saying Kristen was like, I got you, talking about Lindy. Okay, I get it. Yes, Kristen is exactly Team Miguel. She's like, that's what I would have done. Especially in her relationship. We'll watch the other video that we do for Kristen and Mitch, because we'll talk about that. She needs some health insurance. She needs some biochemical shields around her. All right, anyway. So after the ladies do have their conversation, they come back and they debrief, right? And Miguel's like, how'd the conversation go? What'd you tell them about us? that's what he kind of did. He's like, okay.
Oh, that's good.
What'd you say about us?
I want to know in detail. What exactly are you telling these chicks about me? Oh my God.
So she does recap that they talked about the last name conversation. And she says that she's not proud of how she spoke. Right. Exactly. But she said she was not feeling heard, and that was her being defensive.
She was being snotty.
She was being spoiled, yes. And she does make a nice observation by saying we need to see each other, these sides of each other, if we're going to move forward, right?
I agree.
It's better to see that now, to know what you're dealing with, than to all of a sudden, 9 weeks later, she turns into, She-Hulk, and yeah. All right.
And I agree, because we always want to present our best self, right? Our representative, as we call it, and not our true self. So if you don't like it about me, this is something that I wouldn't say get used to, but don't be surprised.
This is part of who I am.
This is
Now, that does not, in my opinion, give her the right to be that way 20 years from now.
Correct.
She has got, because both of them, yes, you can present who you are in your authentic self, absolutely.
Correct.
But in a relationship, there are things that you have to recognize. Okay, that worked well before, or that worked before because I could get in and out of a relationship. But if I'm committed to this relationship, there are some adjustments I have to make, right?
There's growth.
Yes, that's the way to put it. Yes.
And so she says, that's something I'm going to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to trust that she's going to work on it. And he needs to call out. Like he says, I don't like it.
Mm-mm.
That's not how I prefer for you to act.
I'm not putting that on my insurance. You come a little correct, you can get on my insurance.
So I advise that you stay away from cars in the road.
Okay. You better work from home for these next few weeks.
And it's not funny, but it's like, guys, like, he just met you. Just like you don't want a lot of expectations on yourself. Why would then the assumption he doesn't care about you in 2 weeks, that he knows you and don't put you on the insurance, so he doesn't care?
And you haven't figured out insurance for yourself in your 30 years or however old she is of life.
I'm like, whoa, how did you stay healthy all this other time? I'm like, are they not showing video of this? Because I'm like, it should have slipped in the conversation where you couldn't have split that. Because that's been my first question. So you don't go to the dentist? Like, you don't get your teeth checked?
They call me Yuck Mouth because I don't brush.
I'm like, how did you get, my understanding, to get a prescription for any type of birth control, you have to see a physician unless you use some other.
She could be going to, like, I know we have
Planned
them here.
Parenthood.
Or we have them here. We have the clinics that double as, that can be a primary care physician.
But you still got, she paid for healthcare, didn't you?
True.
I'm just, okay.
All right, well, listen.
All right, let's go.
That's it for this one. Listen, we confused by them sometimes too. But listen, check out the other videos that we're doing on the other couples, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.